Hello, I'm Macintosh. It sure is great to get out of that bag.
The computer for the rest of us.
Pre-Apple, computers were just huge, room-like machines used by big corporations and science companies to crunch large amounts of data. Well, Steve Jobs had a different idea. He wanted everyone to have a personal computer in their home. Well, yeah, there were personal computers before this, none as changing as this one though. This one had a 9-inch monitor. Well, yeah, that came with other ones. The keyboard came with other ones too, but one this one had that was new was a mouse. Yes, this was the first computer to have a mouse. It enabled click to drag features. It enabled quick editing without using the command lines. To get users acclimated to this new mouse, the keyboard didn't have arrow keys, and that was done intentionally by Steve Jobs. In 1984, when Macintosh 128K was released, it started at $2,495 with a 9-inch monitor, 128 gigabytes of RAM, and 64 gigabytes of ROM, which is a lot back then. Now, not so much. This computer was really special, and if you don't believe me, believe one of the most influential men in technology today.
Great machine. It's a step forward in terms of the way it uses graphics and the speed, and this is a machine that a lot of people are going to be able to afford. That's a very, very useful machine. I was enthused. Microsoft doesn't work with new hardware very often, but we put a team of people on it from the beginning, and we're planning that over half of our retail sales next year will come from Macintosh software.
You heard it from Bill Gates himself. This is a very, very useful machine. One of Apple's main competitors were IBM. Yeah, they had personal computers back then as well, but they started at $5,000. $5,000. They did not offer the graphics card. It was only the black on white or green on black screen with the text. You have to use command lines, you have to be trained. Well, Apple offered something really different. Originally named Macintosh, M-C-I-N-T-O-S, from by the fruit. Jeff Raskin, one of the creators of Macintosh, really liked the fruit, and he wanted everyone to be able to get the reference of so sweet, so easy, and yeah. Now going back to IBM for a second, Apple wanted to stand out. They were a fresh, new incoming company that most people haven't heard about. So to do this, they created a commercial. In the third quarter of the Super Bowl 1984, Apple had created this commercial that signified this releasing from IBM's control over everybody, being able to break free. You'll see what I'm talking about. Here's the commercial.
He's more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
The throwing of the hammer represents Apple. The lady represents Apple. The hammer represents them freeing them from IBM. The control, break free, so much that this computer offers that nobody has ever thought of to make, except for Steve Jobs. The design of this computer comes from Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center. It used graphics, a mouse, keyboard, and Steve Jobs just really took that, harnessed it, and made it something really different. This computer has a lot of accessories, a lot of just things that normal computers wouldn't have back then. For example, this computer had a regular keyboard while having a separate number pad to get used to, also a printer, and a separate card slot for your floppy disk. This offered many different things that you could buy additionally to the computer. Back then, the computer had no internal memory. They had to use 3.5-inch floppy disks. To start the computer, you have to put in the floppy disk and let it load. If you wanted to play a game, you have to take out the floppy disk, put it in the game floppy disk, and so on and so forth. It was a hassle, but back then that was cutting edge technology. And again, for $2,495, that was a steal and compared to any other things. With this new processor Apple had, you can do so much things, including MacDraw, which is a program that artists use to draw out figures pixel by pixel. They also had MacWrite, which is kind of like Microsoft Word, but the Apple version. This offers so much more, including games. Yes, video games on a computer, not just a console. For example, this here is air hockey, table hockey. I mean, on a computer, take out the floppy disk again, put in the game, and there you go, right here, right now. Now see, this was, I can't even explain it. It was that good. Chess. You can play chess by yourself. This was another third-party application that they had the opportunity to make and sell to consumers for their use. The Macintosh 128K inspired so much technology. It set the standard for today. The desktop, the visual desktop, it's your desk but on the screen. The trash bin, the icons, anything you can go to right there on your computer. It is really amazing. This computer used a WIMP system, Windows, icons, mouse, pointers, for again more video games. It was a dream for Steve, honestly. Later, Apple would be known to take away many ports such as the floppy disk drive, the headphone jack, the Firewire cable, the optical disk drive, the USB port, and so much more. This offered for more space within the computer to increase things. Inside of the Macintosh 128K was a backlit screen and a circuit board with the microprocessor all in the middle of it. The microprocessor allowed the big room-like computers to be shrunk down to this tiny machine that anybody can be used. IBM had the technology, but they wanted to use it for, again, office-like scenarios, company-like scenarios, scientific-like scenarios. They didn't think that everybody should have a computer like Steve did.
You know, it's really fascinating how Apple took this big chance. They didn't know how many people they're gonna reach, how many people are gonna see the commercial, how many people were gonna actually like the product. They spent $800,000 to $1 million on a commercial that they didn't have the money for. They were almost bankrupt, but they took the chance. They wanted to break the barriers. Now, some of you might be wondering, what does this have to do now? Yes, Apple did this back then, but this really broke barriers and led us into a whole new revolution. Our iPhones, our tablets, our computers all stem from this one idea Steve Jobs had. So, some of you may be asking, how does this impact us today? Well, it gave us the creativity, the freedom. It started all of that so that we can be able to do stuff like this.